Go ahead and take it away.
Oh, hello everyone. So welcome to the panel. My name is Amanda Scott and I have extensive experience in coalition building. Not only am I a secular activist, but I'm also an LGBT activist and a women's rights activist. I founded my own nonprofit organization called Mobile Equality, which works to achieve LGBT equality in Mobile, Alabama. I've served as a clinic escort for Planned Parenthood, and I've done a number of coalition building campaigns.
Okay. Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Sean Rivera. I'm the president of the Secular Student Alliance at, I was going to say UTSA, the University of Texas at San Antonio, so that actually means something, so you know what I'm talking about. I've been with the SSA for actually going on 6-ish years. I started out in my high school group, was a leader in there for a while. It was a very different environment, and there are different challenges and benefits of the college groups, and I'm here to help if anyone wants any advice, and yeah, that's it.
Hi, I'm Jennie. I'm Jennie Frishtick. I founded the Claremont College's SSA group, and I'm the former president, just graduated, so it's funny to say the word former before president, but and I'm currently entering the real world, which is very exciting. And I'd love to share any and all coalition building related experiences with you guys. That was definitely a big part of our SSA planning and SSA group running at Claremont.
Hello. This is weird. So, okay, I'm Kaylie Johnson. I am former VP of Dogma Free Society at Central Michigan University, the other CMU. And, what else? Oh, former SSA intern 2 years ago. Shout out, Trevor. Go for it, yeah, get it. And I'm going to be getting an MFA in poetry at the University of Michigan. Don't hurt me, don't boo me. No thumbs down. Sorry.
I think that's really awesome, actually.
Thank you. Thanks.
I love poetry.
Thank you. I can read some to you later. If you want, you can come to me. I'll read some to you. Okay, I'm done.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Enloe. I graduated in 2015 from Oregon State University, where I studied philosophy and was the president of Advocates for Free Thought and Skepticism for 2 years, which is the local SSA affiliate group there. And now I am a law student at the University of Chicago. This year I re-established the Secular Student Alliance on that campus and look forward to doing some fun events going forward. And in both of those roles I have been working really hard to build coalitions with other groups because it's one of the best ways to improve your membership and get your name out there, especially at the very beginning when you don't have a lot of people to help you do that personally. So using other groups for that resource is one of the best things you can do when you're just starting out.
All right, excellent. Everybody give our panelists a round of applause.
Please applaud.
Yeah.
They can be appalled. It's okay.
Yeah, sorry. It's my southern accent. It's pretty bad at times. Sometimes I just need like a translator. But anyhow, okay, so the name of the panel is why is coalition building so important? I think Matt spoke briefly about that, but would each of you, in your own words, explain why you think coalition building is so important?
All right. There are several benefits to coalition building. I'll definitely try not to hog up too many of the points. I think one thing that is good to consider is the kind of group that we are, depending on where you are. For example, like I'm from Texas, and we have a very religious campus. Our group, our Planned Parenthood group, our LGBT equality group, we face different treatment from the administration, and depending on what groups you reach out to and form a friendship or a full-on coalition for whatever given purpose, you have somebody to have your back when a lot of those issues will come up, like with the Planned Parenthood group. Our group was already used to a lot of poor treatment from the administration, and when that group was starting out, we marched them into the office and got shit done. So, yeah. And then like having, for example, Christian organizations especially to have your back on lots of things. Of course, it's good to be independent too, but sometimes you just can't do things yourself when you're the underdog in a situation. So that's one thing.
First, does everybody have an understanding of what coalition building really like is? We didn't really touch on that yet, but okay, we'll probably keep talking about what that is. But working with other campus groups, I think there are a lot of good things that come from that, but one thing that isn't always mentioned right away that I find to be like one of the coolest things about coalition building is that it makes your life a lot easier because you have other people and other groups with usually additional resources, definitely additional students and members coming together to like join you in whatever you're doing, be it like hosting a meeting, discussion, or like planning a larger event. So instead of thinking of it like a challenge for your group, it really can simplify things. Just for a quick example, we were planning a discussion meeting about environmentalism and environmental justice. And instead of planning out like a group discussion ourselves and needing to like self-educate on these issues and then share it with our SSA members, we reached out to different campus groups that worked in environmental justice, and then group leaders from those groups came and talked about the work they do and how students can get involved. And then it sort of like the meeting ran itself because we like brought in some pros. So it can really make your group planning a lot easier as well.
So I have a question for you guys. How many of you are here with a group, like your campus group? Awesome, cool. So I don't know if any of you have connections to other organizations in your state or in your city, but I'm also going to argue that, one, working with other campus groups is great, but also working with non-campus groups, community groups. We have connections to CFI Michigan. There are CFI groups everywhere. They're great because they have an on-campus program as well, so they can give you more stickers and more tabling supplies. Our table was so hot. It was awesome. There were so many stickers, rainbow stickers. So if you're, I guess this isn't about tabling supplies, but if you want, one good thing about joining other organizations is you get more tabling supplies. You get more people around you to help you. Adults, real adults in the real world, real money. Okay, money, adult money. Adult money sounds dirty. It's not. Like real money. These people have full-time jobs. They donate money to their groups, and then these groups want to do stuff with it. And if they see a bunch of college kids like wanting to, or students rather, they see a bunch of students looking for money, not even a lot, a couple hundred maybe, to run a sweet event, they're going to want to help you because you're the next generation of them, and they want that. They want more of you to do great things. So campus groups, but also other organizations. There's a ton of tables out there. You can go find one. Yeah.
Who here wishes that they had access to more money for their group? Raise your hand. Yeah? Okay, so what if I told you that you could get access to more money and it wouldn't have to be money that counted against your money? Because I know that you guys have allotments, and sometimes when you bid for allotments, you have to fight with student government or with administration, and maybe student government is full of people on the Christian student orgs who are not super keen on giving you more money, whether that's intentional or not, because it could be unintentional bias, or it could just be the way that things work out because your group is smaller. But one of my favorite things to do, as someone who has helped two different groups now grow and rise, is to plan an event, like the whole event, and then go to another group and say, hey, we think this is something that your members will like, and we will do all of the work if you will pay for it. And they'll say, we get credit for running an event? All we have to do is give you money? Oh, we have tons of that. So they'll pay for your events, and all you have to do is plan them. Usually this goes the other way too. If you have extra money, but you need more people, you can reach out to other groups, and they'll offer the manpower or person power to get that done. time and money are fungible. You can exchange them for one another. So whichever you have more of, you can use to make bargains with other groups. And the more groups that you know, the more groups you can bargain with, and therefore the more resources you have access to. And this is all very economy focused, but I guess that's what you get from a UChicago student.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about building coalitions with Planned Parenthood, LGBT equality, off-campus secular groups, and so on and so forth. Well, what would you do, how would you respond to those, maybe even in this audience, who feel that SSA affiliate groups should not affiliate with other organizations, that we should focus primarily on secularism and atheism? How would you respond to that?
Oh man, I do not know where to start. I was actually talking to another attendee, and when it comes to things like that and getting your members to take stances on issues, some groups have a lot of resistance. In the end, for one thing, if we're just talking about what the issues are that those specific groups cover, I can't really think of any social issue that one way or another isn't tied directly into secularism. Of course, especially anything that has to do with reproductive justice and anything that has to do with LGBT equality. One way or another, it's going to tie in to separation of church and state. Let's see. What was the question?
The question is how to respond to criticism that SSA groups should not affiliate with LGBT groups or reproductive right groups.
Okay. Yeah, I think that is what I was basically getting into. I think you just have to demonstrate to your membership or to the other officers, if those are the ones who are resisting, really, first, this is absolutely within our jurisdiction 90% of the time. And even if the issue that whatever given group doesn't match up exactly with yours, you can still show the benefits of it. For example, my group formed a voter participation coalition with about 10 to 12 other groups, and that includes college Republicans. And a lot of my members, a lot of our members are very liberal. Of course, not all SSAs have to be like that, but so there's that. There are lots of other examples of us participating with very religious organizations to get specific things done that fall within our common ground. And of course, regardless of what the group is, like a lot of the opening talks explained, one way or another, you're going to have a common ground somewhere.
And it could just be like the type of snacks you want to purchase for the event, but there's common ground somewhere. So I think an important thing to remember when you're sort of debating whether to affiliate or work with another group, be it on campus or off, is that secularism and humanism and atheism do not exist in a bubble. And by claiming that secular, especially secular humanist identity, that is like an activist stance. So you are sort of defining your values in some way. And it's not only okay, but really great to then take action on those values. And that involves working with other groups that are working towards the same or similar goals. So it can be kind of scary, I think, to be defining your group in that way. And there might be some people who are like, well, I'm not, like, I don't support Planned Parenthood, and I'm in a part of this group that's like working with the Planned Parenthood club on campus, and that's okay. Like, they can, I might argue that's not okay, but no, it is. But they might not want to participate in that event or in that coalition, but it's still okay for your group as a whole to sort of get a general consensus about what you're supporting as a secular humanist group.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo most of that because that was like what I wanted to say pretty much. But you just stole all my words from me. I'll make up some new words. So how about that? So this is actually kind of something my group was talking about, because especially going political is kind of hard, because especially if you're a smaller group and you don't want to alienate anybody, Or if one member disagrees, if that's like 70, not 70, how would that even happen? If that's like 25% of your group, this one person, then like, what are you gonna do? You know, that's a pretty big percentage that doesn't want to do this thing or join up with this cause. But I think generally getting an idea of who is your group, write out a mission statement. If you don't have one already, you probably do, or revise it like every single year, because if you have a new e-board, you're gonna want to go through what is important to them and what they've already done or what they want to do. If you have some women leaders, they might really be pushing to do some repro rights kind of stuff, and maybe take a step back and say, you know, this is really important to these people, and these people are my friends, these people are my fellow students, and this is really important to them, and I'm not in disagreement, but maybe I'm not too enthusiastic. You know, you can either feign enthusiasm, or you can actually just be there, or you can just not be involved. But I think it's just, secularism we're not a religion. We don't have anything tied into it until you do it. You don't have anything to say, this is what we are, until you start doing things. Because if you're going out there to prove that you believe in humanism, you believe in rights for women and their health choices, then that's a positive statement that you're making. So you're not just saying, we're a group that we like to hang out every Thursday, we don't just like to have socials, even though those are fun too. But we're also a group that really believes in something, and here we are doing something about it. So to say that groups shouldn't get involved in stuff like that is to say that a group shouldn't have a stance on anything, because if you just have a stance, what's that? You know, you're not doing anything about it. And it might be hard to do something about it, but, you know, it's worth it, so.
I'm going to quote Hamilton, and I'm sorry for those of you unfamiliar, but if you stand for nothing, then what'll you fall for? Right? Yeah. And I want to give, so I know a lot of us are involved with other groups, and I think that failing to recognize that the members of your group are also involved with other groups is like failing to recognize who they are. Like, we're not just atheists, we're like individual diverse people with all kinds of different interests and things that we put our time into, and that matters. And I think that recognizing that and valuing it and engaging it is actually a way to bring people closer together and help your group grow in friendships and in size, not just like a nice thing to whatever for the group. Like, it's actually useful and good, and it'll make you feel better about yourself and your friends as a person. And who doesn't want that? So I'm going to tell you some of the groups that I'm involved with, just as an example. I am an executive board member of the Black Law Students Association, Law Students for Reproductive Justice, and I've been appointed to the Office of Multicultural Student Affairs Student Advisory Council, which is totally not a mouthful. And those are like three things that all take up a pretty good amount of my time, and I'm the co-president / advisor of the UChicago Secular Student Alliance. And to deny that I don't put my time to those things and that I don't care about them while I'm doing the SSA thing would be a denial of like who I am as a person and what I care about. And I think that's true for every member of the group. And you don't have to have unanimity to like exist as a group, because no group has unanimity. And if you wait for that to happen, you'll never do anything. And again, if you don't stand for anything, then what do you fall for? And I think it's also really important to stand for things, because the Secular Student Alliance stands for things, in case you didn't know that. The Secular Student Alliance has been a longtime supporter of quote-unquote secular values, and my understanding is that the current board of the Secular Student Alliance and many of its student members and groups are supporters of progressive values. We talk about marriage equality, we talk about reproductive rights, we talk about all these things, not just because they're secular values, but because they're like what we care about as people. And recognizing that that exists on a national level is probably a pretty good justification for practicing it at the local level. You don't have to do that, but you know, it's a good reason. And so far as you're looking for reasons to do things, there's quite a few right there.
Basically, we're saying be Alexander Hamilton, don't be Aaron Burr in this situation.
Don't throw away your shot.
I thought you said Beyonce for some reason, and I was like, what does Beyonce have to do with this?
That too, but I was just saying Alexander Hamilton.
I got you. Not Beyonce.
Well, I definitely agree with all of those points. Those are excellent. Okay, so you mentioned that you did a voter registration drive with the college Republicans. I bet that had to be interesting. Have you guys found some unlikely allies that you would have previously thought wouldn't support your cause, but actually did, and you formed important relationships with them?
Definitely, yeah. There are a lot of and the best thing is, well, of course, it depends campus to campus, but mine, like I said, it is highly religious. There are between 30 and 35 religious organizations on campus, 25 of which are Christian, 3 of which are jerks. But the other 20 plus, they're actually usually very reasonable people, and we can collaborate with ease to do any number of things. So, for example, look at the College Republic. I mean, I'm getting off the subject of religious organizations, but back to the College Republicans. I mean, the way that developed, they eventually came in later on the scene. It started out with our group, the Planned Parenthood organization that I'm unofficial leader helper to, and and Texas Rising, which is a progressive organization that's trying to turn Texas blue. It started out with us and a few other multicultural organizations. But eventually, once we had as much success as we had, because our group individually, about 2 or 3 of us went out and became volunteer deputy registrars, the people who can sign you up to vote. And it took me about a month and a half to get maybe 40 voters registered. The very first day that we had we call it Rowdy Vote, because that's our mascot. The first day that Rowdy Vote assembled, we immediately got 50 to 60 people within 2-3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and one good thing to add to that is, and one big reason why we had all of that traffic is because, well, once again, depending on the environment, the traffic at your table may suffer. For example, when we table next to Planned Parenthood, we are swamped for hours and hours, and it's fantastic. It's great, and that's why we always table next to the Planned Parenthood organization. So there's definitely strength in numbers, and yes, eventually college Republicans came in, and it's been very civil, and at the very least we can all agree that we want more people to be interested in the voting process and the political process in general. Yeah, there's that, and then, like I said, we have collaborated with lots of religious organizations.
It also makes a really good story when you can get those unlikely coalitions. Like, you wanted to hear about it on this panel, which means that people want to hear about it generally. So if you can make those kinds of things happen, like, newspapers will write articles about you. Like the campus paper will probably show up because they're always thirsty for articles, but like you can call the local paper and they'll write a story about that because people will be amazed. Like, what? Civil conversation between people who disagree working for a common cause? That doesn't exist in the world. What nonsense is this? I know, right? So if you can, like, the coalitions that you build that make for great stories, make for great newspaper stories. Like, you can tell those stories later, or you can get press coverage to build your cause even further.
Yeah, okay. So I have a few things to say, but I'm going to just say one. So I have an interesting thing that happened, I think maybe it was like October, but at some point I got either a call or an email from our school newspaper that they wanted to interview me about witchcraft. And I think they were doing an article on Wiccans on campus and in the community, which I was like, all right, well, I don't know what I'm doing here, but okay. And I don't know how they found us. They either searched for it or somebody told them about us, and I don't know how they got me, but they got me. And so I was like, all right, I'll do this. And they were asking me about what I thought about the Wiccans on campus. And I was like, this is very interesting. What do I think about them? I wish they would like be around more, because this sounds really cool. And suddenly, I think I was treated as like the ally to these Wiccans, because either, I don't know, maybe they thought I was going to be like, oh, these Wiccans, or like, I don't know. I don't know what they thought. I don't know what they thought going into this. They thought either I'm going to give them a really hard story, like, oh, these angry atheists, or like, oh, look at how compassionate this atheist is about these Wiccans. They sympathize with Wiccans. I don't know what they thought, but I was just like, this is cool. That's fine. Like, they practice a religion. They practice things just like everyone else, just like the Christians, just like everyone, except for me, because I'm not religious. So I'm like, okay, it's great that Wiccans exist. They should exist more. We should do something with them. That'd be pretty cool. These Wiccans sound nice. And they were like, okay, thanks. And in the article, it's me just saying, like, Kaylie Johnson of Dogma Free Society thinks that the Wiccans should do more stuff on campus. I was like, I don't know how I got here, right? I'm just like, you just pulled my name out of a hat, like, this person, Dogma Free Society, we're going to interview that person about some Wiccans. So now we know some Wiccans, and the paper knows this. This is why I'm telling this, because you talked about articles, and I'm like, this happened, this is weird, but it's really cool. And I think that the more you are out with the press, or like the school press, or people who are writing the blogs on campus, like I was in like a couple, or like one blog and some newspaper things. They just found my name, and they know that we exist now, and they're going to interview us some more. So you guys better be ready this year, because they're going to interview you about Wiccans. And you got to stand with those Wiccans, because you got to, I mean, that's a crazy awesome coalition, right? I don't know what you're going to do together. Like, have like some, oh, I don't want to diss the Wiccans. I don't know what they do. This is why they need to be out more, because I really want to see what they do.
Build a coalition with them.
Build a coalition. Guys, look at me. Build a coalition with the Wiccans, because I want to know what they do. Yes. Oh, that's a great idea. Yes, solstice. Do a solstice dinner on campus. Oh, write that down, Paul. Jeez.
Another amazing part about coalition building relates directly to what this, like what we've just been talking about here with like marketing and getting the SSA name out there, your group's name out there. Building coalitions and just like co-hosting events or discussions, be they large or small, really helps other people to see your group's name. And it could just be on a flyer. You know how there are those events where there are like 10 college groups names, like co-hosted by Res Life and Student Life and Student Activities and this and all these clubs. Your club's name could be in there. It usually means like paying at least like $10 towards snacks or something. But it just really gets your name up and around campus, and then by interacting with those different groups and co-hosting an event or planning an event together with them, then all the members of that group just like kind of hear about your group. And it really helps to fight the stigma, like negative stigma around being an atheist group, and gives you the opportunity to talk about how you're a humanist group, if you're calling yourself that, or if you're embracing certain values. It's like an opportunity to educate the community and engage with the larger community. So it does a lot of great things for your group itself, in addition to like making a more successful event or helping out another group with their event. So great for marketing.
So Jennie mentioned that you have to pay $10 for snacks or whatever, but the inverse of that is that if you organize an event that other groups might be interested, you can reach out to them and get them to pay you $10 for snacks or whatever.
Especially towards the end of a semester or a year.
Everyone wants to spend their money.
And some groups are out, but some groups have a lot of money left. And if they don't spend it, then they can't apply for more for next year, or something like that, depending on the regulations.
Because if you don't spend all your money, then why should they give you the same amount next year? You don't need all that money.
Right. So if you reach out to a lot of different groups, you might, hit it big with some leftover funds.
I want to talk about Res Life and university administration. And they're similar because they're kind of functionally similar in that they're both involving huge layers of bureaucracy. but they're different in that one is way more accessible than the other. So I'm going to start with Res Life and then talk about university administration. Res Life is a really, 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 really good resource for Secular Student Alliance affiliates for so many reasons. One, because it's freshmen, and if you get freshmen when they're freshmen, then they'll stay with the group for 4 years and they'll learn how it runs and they'll be super awesome leaders by the time that you have to leave. Two, it's like the single largest block of people on the entire campus, and they all talk to each other, and they all go to the same events, and it's really easy to get word of mouth about your group going there. Three, depending on your university, Res Life will put up flyers in the dorms for you, which is like the most traffic and attention that your flyers could possibly get on campus, and also really easy to do. You just have to take it to their office. Four, because they're freshmen running like their student councils and or the hall councils and RHA and stuff like that, like it'll be sophomores and juniors on RHA. They don't know what they're doing as far as leadership goes. And when you come to them and say, hey, we want to give you credit for helping run this event, they'll be like, oh, we get to look good compared to the other halls if we run this event with these people. And it helps them with their leadership experience. You get to teach them stuff. And they usually have extra money because they don't have experience, so they don't know how to spend all their money. Or sometimes they spend their money really quickly because they don't have leadership experience and they don't know how to spend their money. So hit them up at the start of the quarter, not at the end of it. But in my experience, they mostly always have leftover money. I haven't met very many hall councils that don't spend all their money. So all of these things are like really good reasons to talk to Res Life. But like I said, there's some bureaucracy involved because it's Res Life and the university gets concerned about the university associating itself with certain student groups, especially atheist student groups. So depending on how connected Res Life and the university itself are on your campus, you might get pushback. So just be resilient and talk to them politely and calmly and tell them like you want to get students more engaged on campus, ask them what their concerns are, what their goals are, tell them how you can help them reach those goals. Any problem that they have, make sure that you have 3 different solutions because they won't like the first one. And so when you work with university administration, you're going to fight university administration because like their job is to keep people from doing stupid things, and they're going to assume that you're stupid by default because you're students in their administration. And sometimes that won't be the case, and those are my favorite days. It's my favorite thing in the world when university administration likes me instead of hates me. But that takes a long time to get to that point, and it requires that people stay in the same offices so that you build relationships with them, and university administration has high turnover, so that doesn't always happen. But the way that you win those fights is by being kind, not by being aggressive. And sometimes you do have to be aggressive. Like if general counsel says that the university thinks that it's going to look like it's the one bringing in the street preachers when all you're trying to do is move them away from the library. And why would an atheist group bring street preachers to a campus? Are you kidding? You just have a calm and reasonable conversation with them and they'll understand what you're saying because they're people too. And it takes time and you have to talk to the right people. The secret to dealing with administration is talking to the right people. So whenever you end a conversation with someone and you feel like they might not be able to help you, the question that you should ask is, who should I talk to next? Because they'll tell you, especially if they don't want to talk to you again, they'll tell you who to talk to instead. So be persistent because they can become really good allies, and if not allies, they'll at least be resources. And you can do wonderful things for your group by working with both Res Life and administration.
I would like just to add to that there are a lot of very positive interactions you can have with Res Life administration. Sometimes there is no resistance that you're meeting or anything like that. Obviously, be prepared just so you can cooperate with them no matter what. But I've had some really like nice and easy conversations with administration-related folks as well. So don't be frightened or anything. And then I know we probably want to move on to, I don't know if you're doing like a question thing, but there's one thing I just forgot to mention before with a different question, and that's about how to form these coalitions that we're talking about up here. Because we have some very, I would say, overachieving students here involved in literally everything on campus that they care about. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. It's easy to do that even like by accident. But if there are groups you want to collaborate with, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to like be a part of it or work with them on a regular basis, because self-care and sleep has to happen at some point as well. So for me at least, it usually just meant starting by, if you know someone in a campus group, like a different club that you want to collaborate with, talk to that person, and maybe they'll direct you to their secretary or president or something. Or email the club email. Sometimes school, like student activities websites for each, like a different university, will list the different clubs, and there's just like the main contact email, or go on their Facebook page, just sort of reach out to them, and you might have to reach out to like 5 groups to get one to reply, or they might take a while, but it can just be like a short note about working together on something, and it doesn't have to be a lot of your time, just to make it as easy as possible to form some coalitions.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question about how to get involved. Does anyone else have any suggestions on how to form these coalitions and give tips and suggestions for our audience members?
Your campus might have someone in charge of overseeing like the renewal or whatever of all the groups, and that might be student government, or that might be an administrator. But that person knows every single club. They know whether a club exists for a certain person or for a certain purpose, and they know who the point of contact is for that club, which might not be the president, because not all of the presidents of every club are good about getting back to emails, but someone in that group will reply to emails. And the administrator or student government or whatever knows who it is. Make friends with that person, buy them coffee, they'll tell you who to talk to do stuff.
Okay. So I don't want to contradict one point that was actually made a few minutes ago, but because self-care is not selfish. But I do highly recommend, if you've already gotten your foot in with an organization, either yourself or another one of your members, I would highly encourage that you encourage them to think about leadership positions in some of those organizations if they fit, your values or the values that your club holds, I suppose. Like right now, I'm a board member in the Free Thinkers Association of Central Texas. It's a much older group. I'm the youngest person in there by 30 years, and they were looking for some fresh blood. They saw a student who was interested, and they had actually been throwing the position at us for 3 or 4 semesters until I came into the presidency and was like, hell yeah, like, let's do this. Now, that's specifically organizations that's not student organizations. That's, a larger outside of college organization. But like it was mentioned earlier, they are a fantastic resource. And a lot of them, since they are established adults with adult money, we're adults here, but they'll throw it at you, really, for anything. They will donate it to you. You don't necessarily even have to show them a product directly, but if you show them that there's a potential for the product, then they will absolutely pitch in as much as they possibly can. Also, all of the events that they hold, a lot of the time, if you find a secular organization outside of yours, that's outside of a college, sometimes with that extra money, they will have much larger events. Some of the most ambitious events that my club has, they hold every single meeting, which is, they blew our minds. And now we partner with them and hold joint events, and we get to slap our name on it. And marketing, there's that too. And then also, when it comes to secular organizations outside of your organization, what's going to happen to your members when they graduate? Well, I don't want to say a gateway. That sounds kind of has a negative connotation. But one of many things that I like for our organization to be is a doorway to yeah, I know. I need to come up with a better. Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Feeder.
A portal. Yeah, an avenue to the greater secular community, especially if, for example, in my area of Texas, we have tons and tons of secular organizations that meet anybody's lifestyle needs. because we got to stick together down there. So there's that, and and even if it's a student organization, for example, like our members went out and formed our Students United for Planned Parenthood, which we're basically sister clubs at this point. We have all the same members. We bring members from them. We do joint events, things like that. I don't want to take up into this.
Oh, you're good. You said good things. I didn't want to interrupt you. I thought you were done, and mine are gonna be better. So I have a lot to say to that because that was a very good point as well. But for example, so our little school is it's not very little. It's in the middle of Michigan, like in cornfield land, and we have a bunch of universities around us with SSA groups. We have like the Flint group and Saginaw Valley. I think they're here. They're not here, but they're here. And what an awesome thing is that you can do if you have SSA groups in the vicinity, like an hour or two away from you, is you can go to their stuff and you can invite them to yours. You can ask them what they did that was successful. I've been in contact with the Flint group. They're so good and they do such great stuff, and I want to be them. And
I want to wear their skin.
yeah. I'm not going to make that joke.
I took a very dark turn.
It's the gateway.
There's more darkness to come.
It's the gateway to dark turns. No, but really, it's other SSA groups are out there doing really great stuff, and in your state or in a state very near to you. We went to a Dan Barker event at Saginaw Valley, and it was awesome, and we met them. And so, I mean, geez, you can build coalitions with really anybody, just other people, Wiccans, anybody. You can do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Also, one thing to add to that, the Secular Student Alliance, since they have speaker tours, if you have 2 or 3 or more organizations, that's if you happen to be a group who's either small and you're looking for something to promote yourself, or you don't have the money for hosting a speaker, even a speaker through like the speaker bureau, which makes it a lot cheaper. You can think about a speaker tour, especially if you have Secular Student Alliances in your vicinity. So my group, the group at UT Austin, and there are a few other ones that I've been talking to, like one at Texas State. First, we're forming friendships with each other, which is awesome. So we can go ahead and collaborate and try to share experience, advice, things like that. But most importantly, we can contribute. We can have a symbiotic relationship.
Build
like
a
that.
coalition.
Money, yeah. I think the money comes from the older people, but I think speaker tours, that is a resource. It's on the Secular Student Alliance website, so that's something that I would absolutely look into, especially, or like definitely if you have even one other Secular Student Alliance in the area. I mean, Texas is so big that usually driving across things is like driving across states, but since some of you guys aren't from Texas, you can probably actually make the commute maybe to another Secular Student Alliance. The one in Austin, for example, we play Ultimate Frisbee every once in a while. Every few months, we'll go up to Austin, play some Ultimate. They'll come down there, go to Six Flags with us, and then we're trying really hard maybe to get him at Meta. And in 2 semesters. And the best part is also, once again, with the Speaker Bureau thing, and how it helps funding a lot if you can't hold a speaker event. Depending on the relationship that you develop with the other organizations, maybe if you are particularly broke as an organization, some of them, like my group, with one of the groups, we might be willing to absorb a lot of the cost if it's necessary. Now, that's not anything official, but just as a friend to friend or sister group to sister group thing. If one of us is better off financially, or 2 of us are better off, then that's another thing that you could take advantage of, or an opportunity that you could give to another group.
Yeah, thank you very much for all the wisdom and insight. And with that, I would like to turn this over to the audience if they have any questions about coalition building, how to do it, why it's important, or whatever else you may have questions and concerns about.
Who's concerned
Who's got a question?
We wanted to make time for you guys because we were hoping you would come with such great questions.
We did this for you.
So my group's kind of small, and I guess my group's kind of small, and I guess I feel a little bad asking this question, but can you talk more about the Speaker Bureau?
Yeah, sure. I can talk about that, and I can talk about other things also. If you, I mean, you know, I'll be floating around also, so I'd love to talk to you about that. Like I said, I was part of 2 secular student alliances. One of us was like 7, you know, high school students. It was not very sustainable, so I can definitely talk about being in small groups. Yeah, the Speaker Bureau, there are definitely going to be a lot of, you know, SSA representatives who can talk about that also. But yeah, the general idea is, well, you have a few choices for speakers. You could go be a hero and just completely do it yourself, which I'm sure would, you know, you have to pay for travel, any number of other things.
Raise your hand if you're in this room and you're on the Speakers Bureau.
I was about to do that, and you beat me to it. I'm actually on the Speakers Bureau, so if you would love to invite me and hear my amazing accent and hear about growing up atheist in Alabama, I'd love to come to your school.
We were talking earlier, I just loved it. Like, I guess Alabama has the accents in Texas. We're not all sandy cheeks. Yeah.
The SSA, in terms of money, will give you up to $400
Yeah.
worth of costs covering per speaker, which can pay for like a lot
Yeah.
of the costs. And if you go to your school and you tell them that the SSA will pay up to $400 of the costs, they might give you the other 200 or whatever, depending on where you get money. You should look into student government funding, because even if you don't have an allocation at the start of the year, if you come to them with a budget, like we plan the dates, we plan the nights, we plan the hotel, here's exactly how much this is going to cost, they might give you the money.
Yeah. Also, I mean, we can go back even to the coalition building subject. Like we said earlier, definitely, depending on exactly what the subject is of any event that you would like to hold, if there's any other organization that you think that might fall under, or whose jurisdiction you think that might fall under, definitely reach out to them too. And then, like you said, student government, they can be an awesome resource depending on, you know, your relationship with them, or if they're just doing their jobs. And then, sorry.
Spoiler alert, come to the Leadership Transitions and Delegations workshop if you are interested in planning a Speakers Bureau event. And spoiler alert.
Yes.
Well, we only have 5 minutes left, so if anyone has any questions or, okay, here we go.
I don't necessarily have a question, but I'm one of those older guys with a group that has money. So,
Do tell.
You guys have assured me that our group is doing it right, and I want to add that for anybody with a local group, go to a site called meetup.com.
Yes.
And you can find local groups, local organizations that will meet your needs that you can kind of pull together with. And as far as Speakers Bureau, yeah, speak to another organization, and sometimes they will host your event. Also, with your groups, we use something called ACEs. We make sure that every month we do something that is activism, we do something that is community service, something that is education, and something that is social. That appeases everybody within your organization. So one person may not like activism, but they say, hey, you guys have a game night, and you do community service, so I can overlook that. So, try and organize your group in a manner that appeases everybody who may join.
That sounds very much like CASE, the SSA acronym for activity planning, community advocacy, service, and education. And if you want to learn more about that, come to my presentation tomorrow afternoon. But that's a great, I don't know if you guys came up with that, but that's amazing to keep everything varied.
For the recording, he just wanted to reiterate that his group is happy to give your group money. So he wanted to clarify that you should reach out to the groups full of adults, and that you should go to meetup.com to find groups like his, because they will give you money, and they like giving you money. Just want to make sure that people who see this online knew what he said, because it's awesome.
Yeah, not to be too repetitive, but yes, meetup.com is for several different organizations, especially non-student organizations that don't, whose members don't all utilize Facebook and Twitter and things like that. Yeah, that's where you find all of the non-student organizations. at least in Texas, it's bizarre. Like, to the point where the Free Thinkers Association of Central Texas I'm part of, for the most part, when it comes to events, they refuse to use Facebook events. So it's you can definitely look there and find them.
Can I do a short plug? If your group is looking for ways to work with other campus groups, I have a very specific talk on that called Working with Other Campus Groups tomorrow. And it's basically what we said, but in much more detail, specifically rules on working with political groups and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Was there a question over here?
Okay.
I guess speaking more specifically about working with on-campus groups and coalitions, what advice do you guys have for an SSA group whose LGBTQ and feminist groups on campus are basically your same members? You basically end up talking to the same people all the time.
Yeah, I think that's a very good discussion to be had. It's especially for like in my example where like the Planned Parenthood group was actually founded by our members. I think it's hard to sometimes let both of them thrive without them just like becoming redundancies. But yeah, you definitely have to talk to the leaders of each group, even if you're all buddies and even if you all talk all the time. Try to figure out exactly how you can coordinate where you don't overlap on too many things. Or yeah, if anyone else has any like really great things to
I feel
do.
like it's kind of like going against this talk, but like make sure they're different. Just if you're at one event, make sure it's not you're only talking about the other group's events at that event, because you will have new people there wanting to talk about this group. So, I guess make an effort at first while it's still forming to really separate the issues a little bit more, even though like coalition building is good, but like, you want those people specifically there for that to be there for that and hear about that kind of stuff.
Right, because it's kind of like become a thing that like those groups know if we can't get something done, we can go to the SSA group because they have motivated people, and then it turns out we're taking on other people's initiatives, which is overwhelming sometimes.
All right, thank you very much. And everybody give our speakers a round of applause.